Exactly. Like you said, very difficult case. No DNA, no physical evidence, no confession, which is something that they tried really hard to get. And like you said, you know, to rely on a jailhouse snitch, the jury, I think, is going to have a really hard time determining their credibility. One of the things that it brought to the fore was this whole issue of sexual harassment in the workplace and what it means. And I think, Rochelle, we've come a long way from 1991. I mean, it's possible. I mean, the evidence is very overwhelming. This is something that occurred back in August in Sweden. 2 women alleged that he raped them. This is very serious. Timings. Well, apparently they used undercover agents, Brooke, and I think you know, typically this is something that law enforcement does when they are trying to get to the bottom of a criminal case. I could certainly see how there are going to be some challenges to this, Brianna. I mean, we do have a Fourth Amendment right against unreasonable search and seizure. I'm not surprised. I mean, the evidence here was overwhelming. This is a licensed professional who ought to know what to do with respect to administering something like propofol. It is done in a hospital setting, and the patient must be monitored. So the fact that he ever even introduced this to Michael Jackson is really, really horrific. Yeah. Well, I don't know if he's broke, but it may be that he's looking down the line and saying, you know what, I have no money coming in, I better get it together. After all, the drugs, the women, that costs money. It's not cheap. Well, I think you'd still be looking at invasion of privacy, though I think from a defense perspective, at least his roommate would have a viable defense because he lived there. That was also his dorm room. So you'd have to say that he could videotape anything going on in his room. But I think what makes this case particularly worse is the fact that it was broadcast on the internet. It's very difficult to say that it was foreseeable that this young man would kill himself as a result of this broadcast. So I don't see any sort of manslaughter or murder-related charges being attached to this. I think that the fact that Jim wrote the letter, even if someone may have drafted it for him, and that the letter was sent, indicates that he really is remorseful and he really at least understands what the family is going through. You know, Ryan, I agree with you. When I heard that, I was like, I'm sorry, what was that question and what was that answer? I couldn't believe the exchange. I think that oftentimes when you're an attorney, you're preparing for trial, it's a lot of work. And oftentimes you painstakingly go through a question, answer, preparation. And it could be that this is just her normal way of questioning chief medical examiners.